Hey guys, what's up? I'm Noah, this is Analog Resurgence, and today I'm taking a look at how to load a 16mm Bolex. This is my 16mm Bolex camera, and these cameras take 100 feet of 16mm motion picture film. So I've already taken a look at kind of all the features and functions on the side and how focusing and framing works in the lenses and all those individual components. So today I'm going to take a little bit of a closer look inside of the film compartment at exactly how you would load this camera. Now let's start by winding up the motor for a few turns because loading requires using the motor to initially thread the film through the camera. So this side of the camera has our film door, and we open it up and remove it to see the film compartment. Now Bolex will take 100 foot of 16mm motion picture film. You can buy these 100-foot spools from Kodak, and they usually come in boxes that look something like this. The 100-foot roll comes on what's called a daylight spool, and the film compartment inside the camera holds two spools. Up here is where the film is loaded, and down here is where you need a second empty spool for your take-up. So if you have a Bolex, then you need to make sure that you have an empty spool in order to shoot your film, because when you buy one of these rolls, it will only come with one spool that already has the film on it. You need that second spool in the camera so that the film will have some place to roll up once it's been exposed. These spiked rollers here will pull the film through the camera. Really old Bolex models might have spikes on both sides of the rollers, which means you can't use it with modern film stocks, because Kodak's 16mm film now is only perforated down one side. The second set of spikes would damage your film. This switch is for our loop formers, and when loading we engage these so that the film can be fed through the camera and have proper slack above and below the film gate. This is our pressure plate, and we can remove it to clean this area around the film gate. It's very smooth and has a spring to it in order to push the film up against the gate and behind the lens. This switch over here can be engaged, and every time a foot of film moves through the camera, it will make a clicking noise. When loading, we want to make sure that we're following this diagram for threading the film. 16mm film comes on 100-foot spools, with the emulsion side of the film facing down. The emulsion side needs to face the lens, so threading it this way will make sure that it is oriented properly. We can wind the camera and thread this film into the slot here and engage the motor to pull it through down to the take-up portion. It will go past the spiked rollers, up into the film gate, and then down and back out the bottom. We can use this piece here to cut the film and then slot it into the take-up spool down here. Now it's a good idea to run the motor for a second to make sure that everything is moving well. Then we can disengage the loop formers and put the door back on the camera. It's also a good idea to advance the film until your film counter hits 0 on this side of the camera. So remember, a 100-foot daylight spool of 16mm film is available primarily through Kodak, in color negative, black and white negative, black and white reversal, and the newly re-released color reversal Ektachrome. And of course, these daylight spools are super friendly to be able to be used outside of a darkroom. The film is tightly wound onto them, so you're not gonna lose a lot of film just by having it outside or in just subdued light outside of complete darkness. You will have some flaring at the beginning of the roll when you first load it, and at the end of the roll when you take it out. But all the footage that's deeper on the roll will be perfectly fine as long as you don't open up your camera while you're shooting your roll. So 100 feet of 16mm film will get you about 2.5 minutes to 2 minutes and 45 seconds out of it. And that's when you're shooting at 24 frames per second on your camera. I'll throw a link in the description down below to a film calculator that you can use in order to calculate the runtime of various other frame rates if you want to shoot at lower frame rates or high-speed frame rates as well. So there you go. Now that you have film loaded inside of your Bolex camera, then you're ready to go and start shooting and exposing that film. And once you're at the very end of the roll, you'll be able to hear the film be pulled off of the initial reel through the camera and down to the bottom. That will usually be around the time that your film counter hits 100 feet. You don't have to rewind the film once you expose it through the camera. All you have to do is take the spool that has the exposed film out of the bottom portion of your film compartment, throw it back into the box that you got the film in, and then you can take it to your film lab for developing. Hey, thank you so much for watching and checking this out, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about the Bolex, and in the future I'll continue to look at some of the other functions and features that it's capable of doing as well. And subscribe if you haven't done so already, as I continue to post new content like this every week about different motion picture stuff and photography stuff and just all this analog photographic formats and mediums and cameras. videos. And if you're at all interested in supporting the channel, there is a link to the Analog Resurgence Patreon in the description down below. You can head over there and check that out, and any sort of funding and support that I receive from that is just gonna go towards making this channel better in the future and being able to do more of this stuff for you guys to learn from. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.